Dr. Anthony Harper here. Blessed to speaking with Attorney Daniel Schmid with Liberty Counsel. Thank you for joining me, Attorney Schmid.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you talking about and discussing this situation and the case regarding the Idaho National Guard and some that you might be representing, and in general, what's been happening with the expressions of Christian belief in the Idaho National Guard, as well as maybe other cases nationally, and the expression of Christian belief in the workplace in general.
Well, unfortunately, over the last several years, and most of this took place in the prior administration, as you may recall, Christians and conservatives in the military, including in the Idaho National Guard and including in every other branch of the military during the Biden administration, were essentially hunted down and persecuted. It began with the COVID vaccine mandates and running Christians off there, refusing their religious accommodations. We had to run to court in those instances too. Prevailed ultimately in having that mandate struck down and then that religious discrimination eliminated. And then in Idaho National Guard, what's going on now, you had some commanders from what's supposed to be a conservative governor, and they were appointed there and have overseen this 2-year investigation into Major Worley, all stemming from his comments on a social media post about the institutional rot and moral decay of the culture right now, and how, when he was running for office, he sought to change it. Now, there was a guardsman who was subordinate to him under his command who didn't like those comments and filed a complaint against him on the basis of his religious expression and his religious beliefs. And Major Worley was suspended from his post, removed from command, and subjected to a 2-year investigation, all because of these complaints against his religious beliefs.
Well, this has been a disturbing trend. How would you contrast the previous administration, versus the current administration on these matters?
Well, I think there's no question there's a difference, and praise God there is. The prior administration issued Department of Defense instructions that were, quote unquote, rooting out extremism. Let's hunt down the people who have conservative posts on their social media outlets. Let's hunt down people who have religious expression in the public square and make sure that those quote unquote concerning ideologies, this is what the Idaho National Guard said against Major Worley. Let's make sure these concerning ideologies have no place in the military. In the prior administration, you had the COVID vax mandates. You had all of the other things where they were persecuting Christians and hunting them down if they didn't agree with the woke nonsense of the day. And now you have a commander-in-chief and a secretary of defense who quite literally say, DEI, gone. Persecution of Christians, gone. To the extent that the current administration has a faith council tasked with the attorney general and a number of other people who were supposed to root out anti-Christian discrimination. There's an anti-Semitic one to root out anti-Jewish discrimination. And you have the Secretary of Defense who says, I'm not playing around when I say DEI's gone. We're not doing that anymore. The job of the military is to win wars and protect the homeland. That's it. This notion that it's a cultural or a social experiment is nonsense, and we're not going to put up with it anymore. So the dichotomy between the two administrations couldn't be more vast. And we're lucky to have received a new birth of freedom, if you will, beginning in January of this year, and I hope it will continue for many more years to come.
You often deal with these issues about the expression of Christian beliefs in not only the military but in general as well.
That's right. That's what we do here at Liberty Counsel. I mean, we have represented a host of individuals that were persecuted for their religious beliefs. To this day, we are representing Kim Davis in Kentucky, who was thrown in jail for exercising her religious opposition to same-sex marriage. The only Christian that I'm aware of in the history of America, in a country that was born on the will to be free and born on the will to have religious freedom threw a lady in jail because she exercised her religious beliefs. That's astounding to me, and we're still fighting on her behalf. We fought on behalf of all the military members during the Biden administration. We're fighting on behalf of Major Worley today. We fought on behalf of healthcare workers in New York and Maine and Illinois and elsewhere, where we were pushing back against the anti-religious bigotry of a lot of the left-leaning governors and a lot of a government that seemed hostile for sincere religious convictions. And we don't stand for it. We don't rest, we don't tire. We will hunt down the persecutors as far as we must, and we'll work tirelessly to make sure they're put to bed. And we do that each day and do so joyfully.
Would you say that liberal judges probably would be the major problem in many of these cases versus conservative judges?
You know, our system was premised on the idea that Lady Justice is blind. I would prefer it not to matter what judge you get assigned. Unfortunately, in today's culture, it does. Now, we have great success even when we face hostile judicial actors in some of these more left-leaning states where the trial judge may not go in your favor, but we have tremendous success taking that up. We fought a case in Massachusetts for 7 years, and we lost multiple times before a judge who did not like us took it up on appeal, lost again, went to the Supreme Court, won 9-0. And that's what I mean by never tiring. So it's, yes, it's a problem, but it's not a problem that's not solvable. And if we have to appeal a radical judge's decision, we do. And oftentimes we prevail in that context. We do it over and over and over again. And we're happy to do so.
For clarity about what is the permitted, the normally expression of Christian beliefs in the military?
Well, military personnel don't shed their constitutional rights upon enlistment. That just doesn't happen. They are still individuals. They still possess the right to speak. They still possess the right to exercise their religious beliefs, to petition the government for a redress of grievances, to do all the things that the First Amendment allows you and I as civilians to do. Now, obviously, there are limits upon that when you're fighting a war and you're in a combat zone and perhaps the government has an interest in, well, you don't need to speak at all. We need you to be fighting the enemy. So there's context. But in general, a military member doesn't surrender their constitutional right to speak the moment they sign on the dotted line, and nor should they. For all of these heroes that signed up to defend the Constitution on behalf of you and me, and signed up to defend your right to host a show like this, and my right to speak on a show like this, they ought to be entitled to the same protection under the blanket of which we sleep each night. And so, that, of course, they don't surrender it upon enlistment, nor should they.
These are very encouraging, words regarding about the change in administration, the impact that on the expression of religious freedom for not only military members but any Christian. So, what do you expect next to be happening in Major Worley's case? And in some other cases regarding a Christian expression in the military?
Well, in Major Worley's case, on Monday, we filed a response to the governor's motion to dismiss, and he's trying to weasel himself out of it, saying he has nothing to do with it. That's not true. He's the governor. He's the commander-in-chief of the Idaho National Guard, and he possesses unilateral, unquestioned authority to reinstate Major Worley to the place he was before this nonsense investigation began. We have asked him to do so. He declined, so we sued him. Now, he's still trying to wiggle out of it, and we filed a brief in opposition to that on Monday. In addition, the two adjutant generals there and the assistant adjutant general who we sued in Idaho haven't even bothered to respond. So not only have they persecuted Major Worley for 2 years now, deprived him of his cherished constitutional liberties, but when called to account in court, they can't even bother to show up. So what we have asked the court to do in their instance as well is to issue the injunction. They were served, they were told about the lawsuit, they have ignored it. The law does not allow you to do that, and the Constitution demands you be enjoined, and so we've asked for that as well. I suspect we will get both of those. The governor's motion to dismiss isn't merited. He has the authority to do that which we have asked him to do. He won't, so we're going to make the court do it for him.
So is it possible this could be ending up in the Supreme Court?
It's always possible. It could. I would like to think that the district judge does the right thing and enjoins the governor and the adjutant generals from continuing to investigate and persecute Major Worley. If they don't, we'll have to go to the next level, which is the Court of Appeals. Unfortunately, in Major Worley's case, that's the Ninth Circuit, but that's okay. The law is pretty clear on his behalf that you can't shut him down, investigate him, punish him, and suspend him, and ultimately remove him from his duties on the basis of his religious expression. So I'm confident in our ability to prevail in that regard.
Well, this is a very significant in light of I'm talking with you now from Boise, Idaho, the capital of Idaho. Very familiar with the governor and the Idaho legislature here. It was really shocking to hear about this refusal of the governor to reinstate Major Worley. I know many Christians are concerned about these matters and pray for very good outcomes here, not only with Major Worley, but any other Christian in the military and also generally in the workplace. I thank you for Attorney Daniel Schmid for joining me today on these really important issues. I'm often dealing with Christian persecution in the world, and I guess this could be seen as a form of Christian persecution to some degree.
No, it certainly is, and I think it will continue. We were told it would get worse. Christ said, in the manner that they hated me, they'll hate you. So I don't think this is unexpected, but we're here to stand in the gap while that happens, and we're happy to do so. So thank you for having me on.
Well, it's great for you to join me, and some more information about Liberty Counsel, how people can know about all the things that you do. I know you have a website, so what is your website?
It's behind me here. If you just visit us at lc.org, you can follow Major Worley's case and others and keep up with all the various cases that we're litigating across the country.
Well, thank you, Attorney Schmid, and wish you all a wonderful day and good outcomes in defense of Christian freedoms.
My pleasure. Thank you.